All right, let's get right into it. OpenAI just dropped something huge, GPT 5.4. And look, this isn't just another small step up. We're talking about a model that really changes the game, pushing us into the world of what people are calling agentic AI that can truly act on its own. But here's the central idea, the one question that really gets to the heart of it all. What if an AI could see your screen, click your mouse, and type on your keyboard? Basically, use a computer just like a person. No special code, no complex integrations, just using the tools you already use. Because that's pretty much what we're looking at now. So when you boil it all down, the big headlines for GPT 5.4 really come down to three game-changing features. First, there's that native computer use we just talked about. Second, a mind-boggling 1 million token context window. And third, something new they're calling interruptible thinking. We're going to break down each of these. So let's start with the big one. How GPT 5.4 is basically becoming your computer's new co-pilot. And this isn't just about the AI answering questions. It's about the AI actually doing things for you on your own machine. Now, to really get a sense of just how big of a leap this is, let's look at the old model, GPT 5.2. On a test called the OS World Benchmark, it scored a 47%. You know, not terrible, but definitely not at a human expert level. Okay, now look at this. GPT 5.4 hits a whopping 75% on the exact same test. That is a colossal jump in just one version. It's now squarely in the territory of performing better than many humans on some pretty complex digital tasks. And just so we're clear on what this benchmark actually is, it's not some abstract test. It's designed to measure how well an AI can navigate a computer's operating system and all its apps. You know, things like spreadsheets, web browsers, file folders, using the very same buttons and menus that you and I click on every day. So why is this so important? Well, here's the key. The AI doesn't need developers to build it a special door or a custom connection anymore. It can just learn to use the digital world as it is. And that is the absolute foundational skill for any AI agent that's going to act on our behalf. But being able to use a computer is only part of the story, right? How does it actually perform on the more traditional stuff? Let's take a look at how GPT 5.4 stacks up against the other big models out there. Now, this is where things get pretty interesting. If you crank GPT 5.4 Pro up to its absolute max settings, yeah, it edges out the competition like Gemini and Claude. But, and this is an important but, on the more standard, everyday settings, Google's Gemini 3.1 Pro actually still has a slight lead, so there's some nuance here. But here's where it really seems to pull away. Knowledge work. It scored an 83% on the GDP Wall benchmark, which tests professional-grade tasks. That's a full 12% jump from the last model, which tells us it's getting incredibly good at things like building presentations or managing complex data in spreadsheets. And check this out in the coding world. On a test called Sweepbench Pro, GPT 5.4 gets a 58%. Now look closely at that table. That score is actually higher than GPT 5.3 Codex, which was a model specifically built for coding. So they've managed to bake that specialized skill right into the main model. That's a really big deal. What's really smart is where the improvements are focused. They're not on the super easy or the impossibly hard tasks, but right in that sweet spot of medium reasoning effort. For anyone who codes, this means you're getting a great balance of speed and accuracy, which is exactly what you need for the vast majority of your work. And that leads us to our next point. GPT 5.4 isn't just about raw horsepower. It's been designed with some really clever features that make it way more efficient and practical, especially for these complex agent-like jobs. So a perfect example is this new tool search feature. Think about it like this. The old way was like forcing the AI to carry a giant, heavy toolbox with every single tool it might possibly need. But now, with tool search, it's like the AI can just magically summon the exact tool it needs right when it needs it. It keeps everything so much cleaner and more efficient. And the impact of that is huge. I mean, look at this chart. For certain tasks, tool search can slash the number of tokens you need by almost half. That's going to save you money, for sure, but it also makes the model faster and more focused on the task at hand. They've also added something called interruptible thinking. You know how frustrating it is when you give an AI a long, complicated task, and then you realize halfway through you made a tiny mistake in the instructions? Well, before, you had to scrap the whole thing and start over. Not anymore. Now you can actually interrupt it, correct it, and it'll adjust what it's doing on the fly. It feels much more like a real collaboration. When you step back and look at the timeline, it's pretty clear that OpenAI's development speed is just accelerating like crazy. We got 5.1 in November, 5.2 in January, and now 5.4 in March. We're talking 3 major releases in just about 4 months. It really feels like they are pushing forward faster than ever. But of course, with all this incredible new power, there's always one very important, very practical question. What's it gonna cost us? Well, the answer is kind of a trade-off. If you look at the price per token, yes, GPT 5.4's input cost is a little bit higher than the last version. But, and this is key, because of those new efficiency features like tool search, the total cost to get a complex job done might actually be the same or even cheaper. So it's more expensive per unit, but you might need way fewer units to get the job done. So let's just quickly wrap up with the big takeaways here. First, and this is the most important one, GPT 5.4's ability to use a computer like a person is a massive, massive step towards true AI agents. Second, you're getting huge performance boosts across the board, especially in professional work and coding. And finally, those new smart features actually make this super powerful model more efficient and even more affordable to use in the real world. And that really leaves us with one last big question. For years, we've all been learning how to use our digital tools. But now, for the first time, our tools are learning how to use themselves right alongside us. So the real question isn't just about what the AI can do anymore. It's about how our own work, our own creativity, how our roles are going to change now that we have a true digital partner.